Rob Lyons here for Treksphere.com. We are back with another model kit review. Today, in this first video, we're going to do our unboxing and first look here at Treksphere at the new 1/32nd scale Shuttlecraft Galileo model released this month from Polar Lights. So first of all, before we start taking a look at the kit, let's take a moment to answer the question, why do we need this? Because there already is a model of the Shuttlecraft Galileo. We've had it now for 40 some years. It came out in the 1970s. So we have an example of that here. And from a distance, it looks okay. It's a little on the small side, but that's fine, right? But the details of this particular model just don't match up with what we saw on screen. And so starting about 8 or 9 years ago, Polar Lights, together with Gary Kerr, who was also a consultant on the restoration project for the Enterprise at the Smithsonian, began working from source material, original photographs, you name it, to try to find a way to bring a definitive model of the Galileo Shuttlecraft into production. So the result of those efforts is the new Polar Lights 1/32nd scale Galileo Shuttlecraft. Today we're going to jump in and take a look at this through an unboxing process. We're going to look at the decals, we're going to look at the structure itself, the paint guides, the instructions, everything that comes in this box. So we're going to put you on the bench and we'll have a gander. All right, so we have our box here. The box itself includes a buildup of the actual model sat in a display scene. And like most of the round 2 models nowadays, you've got some stills from the show here. You've got a picture of your decals, another image of the model itself. You'll notice there's some variations that are present in the different pictures that are shown. So you've got the Galileo in most of the pictures, but here you have the Columbus built up. So you've got some different options that are explored there. When we pull the lid off, you see everything inside. We're going to take this out. We'll come back to that in a moment. Once again, you have some additional instructions for decals and decal options. So you have the options for the Galileo 2, the Columbus, the Einstein that come with this. And some really interesting details that you can pop in here if you desire, depending on how you build it, how you want to build it. Once again, some more decal instructions. And on the back, mentions it's ideal for lighting. There is no light kit that comes with this, so be aware of that. There's 58 parts to this kit. And the kit retails for, I believe the manufacturer's suggested price is $59. I was able to pick it up early through pre-order through my local hobby shop for $49. All right, take a look at the decals here. And this is going to really help. I'm going to pull back out. I'm going to do this a couple times as we go through here and just compare the sizes so you can really get a good idea of how much bigger the new tooling, the new kit is from the old kit. So here's the main decal sheet. Once again, you've got all those decals for the Columbus, the Einstein, the Galileo, the separate numbers, the ship name, the pennants, and everything. You have several different areas that will give you like little breadboard decals and things like that to detail. So it's a pretty straightforward decal sheet, but it's really nice, looks great. I'll go ahead and give you a little closer look there. Quality of those decals is really good. And next, I have a gander at the instructions. So the instructions are laid out a little bit differently. There's some advertising in it that was necessary. Well, it wasn't necessary, but it's present for a specific purpose to give something for the back of these. I'm going to talk about that template in a moment. So we've got all of our normal processes. You can tell just by looking at what's here, though, that there are some interesting, that you're going to be doing a lot of trapping as you assemble this kit. There are some areas of this kit that are, for example, the aft nacelle caps are going to involve gluing together the, whatever they are, the aft field globes or whatever, and then having to sand them to get rid of your seam. You do have some options for flying versus landed, so you want to pay attention to that. But again, there are parts that are trapped, the windshield, there's the opening door feature, and there's some very specific language about when to glue different parts. Those instructions then continue through to the back. So again, relatively straightforward, but it's there for you. As I mentioned, the advertising is there because on the other side, we have these panels, this panel template that exists. I'm going to turn it that way so it's easier to see. So after the kit had already been designed, some additional evidence came to light that there were actually these panels that were present on, I can't remember if it was the miniature or on the actual practical set or practical shuttlecraft that was used. But either way, these panels are there. So they drew this up and included it, and you can do one of two things. Well, technically you can do one of three things with it. Your first option would be that you could cut this out, use it as a marking template, and then actually scribe the panel lines in. Your second option, and Gary Kerr mentioned this in a Facebook post recently, would be to get extremely thin styrene and cut the panels out and glue them on top. He mentioned the fact that that's probably how it would have been done on the original filming asset. So that's an option. Your third option could be to use this as a master to make a paint mask. Lay your paint mask across the top, remove these areas here, obviously, and then give them a coat of either slightly lightened or slightly darkened main hull color. So those are a couple of different options that you could use for that. I haven't decided what I'm going to do because I have some thoughts about some modifications I might make to this model. So there we go. All right, let's get back at it. We're going to start by looking at the parts trees. Here's the first set of parts I want to look at. These are the clear parts. So we've got the engine. This goes on the inside of the engine housing in the back. We have the forward windshield. These are some spotlights or headlights that were originally intended to be used. They've been molded for use and can be used in the front of the shuttlecraft on the port side. Again, we have some parts for the back of the ship here. These are the windows to the doors, and then the nacelle caps, the forward nacelle caps. They look great, wonderful, very crisp, nice details. A little part here, this is, if I am looking at it correctly, this is the access hatch on the back of the shuttlecraft, and I believe that we may be able to do something to hinge this open. I'm not 100% sure if it's intended to do that or not, so I'm gonna have to look at that once I get building on that. All right, so here comes kind of the boat bottom, if you will, of the shuttlecraft. This is the bottom assembly. So you've got that space here for those floodlights. You've got to snap the sprue out here. You've got the pylon supports or the wing supports and the cutout for the drop down. So you can open and close the door the bottom portion of the door. The top part's a little more complicated than that, but the bottom part's pretty easy to put together there in that respect. And just to give you another visual, probably better to do it that way. The old kit basically fits with much room to spare inside the new. All right, we have the pylons, or the wings assemblies, however you want to refer to those for the nacelles. This is the other side to this. No, it isn't. Okay. I have to look and see what that is. Never mind. At any rate, that's an access hatch that can be opened. This here is the interior part that will trap the open and closing shuttle bay door. We have landing gear pieces. We have nacelle cowlings. Here's the swinging and the fixed portion of the door. Here's those other sides of the globes that go in the back here of the nacelle cowlings. All right, there's the roof. And there we go. That's where that piece fits. Sorry. So you put that piece with the wiring behind that piece, and then you can choose to display it. It's gonna be hard to show. Opened, or there's a second piece in which it's closed. So there's two options for displaying that. I don't know if they're interchangeable yet. Those parts also have, if I am looking at it correctly, decals that detail these raised portions. There's the roof panel. And here we go with the nacelles. These appear to go into the aft portion holding the thrust assemblies together. The sides, the forward bulkhead, and the thrust assembly for the impulse drive. And once again, just to give you an idea of scale, there you go. All right. All right, so first of all, let me give you a little bit of my appreciation of the new model. This thing is beefy. When Jamie described it in our article a couple of months ago as being like, almost the size of like a half a loaf of bread or more, he isn't kidding. It's significantly bigger than the existing kit, which is going to make it a lot easier to do some things like lighting it. It's highly accurate, which means you're not going to have to make a lot of the kinds of changes that you had to make with this old kit if you wanted it to be accurate. Now the downside, this kit came with something of an interior. The new kit does not. Once again, if you go back and read that article, you'll learn a little bit more about the reasons that interior was not included in this kit. So it leaves me as a builder thinking about a couple of different things, and I'm going to make some alterations, I think, to the model. First of all, I need to start this by saying I am not a highly experienced scratch builder, so the idea of scratch building an interior is a little bit intimidating. So I need to do it in the simplest way that's possible. There's no seats available, there's nothing available for the inside of this kit that is precisely engineered to fit it and is within my budget. So what I'm going to have to, and frankly, it's a new kit, so there's really just not that much out there. What I am wanting to do, in my mind, and I'm going to be doing this as something out of my own little pocket universe, is I want to make this a command shuttle. And what I mean by that is like a command post that a Starfleet crew would use when they land on a planet and are doing some kind of a scouting or an expedition. So I'm going to look at putting seats along the walls, similar to what we saw in Star Trek V or what we've seen in Star Trek Discovery for the rear seating, or even in TNG. Pilot seats in the forward, and putting something like the pool table, as it was called, that was used in the TNG engine room in the middle of the passenger compartment of the shuttlecraft to give some visual interest. I want to try to locate some figures that will go in there, get some custom graphics, and I want to light it up. I'm not 100% sure if I'm up to the task, but in terms of interior work, those are the things I really feel like I need to do. You've got great windows that are perfectly clear. I'm going to talk more about that in a moment. You've got the option with the door. You can do some things with the door maybe. Now, I want to say there is an opportunity, if this kit does well, to see an interior. It's already been designed to fit. The problem is the economics of bringing this to market really required it to be released without an interior. So if we buy enough of these, then in a couple of years we may either see an interior add-on kit, similar to the way that we see light kits for some of the other models, or we may see a re-release of this kit with the interior included. I don't know. All I can say is if we buy it, it may come. Let me talk about a few other things I'm giving some consideration to doing. It's really one major thing. Some of you may have seen some of the concept drawings for the original series Shuttlecraft. Sometimes they're referred to as the Kellogg Shuttlecraft. And one of the things that model included was a significantly larger window that actually came over the top. Now, it did not include nacelles or anything like that. It was basically the shuttlecraft body as we know it, without nacelles and with a bigger window, and with some of the panels etched on the top. I recently saw a post where it was pointed out that based on the way that the shuttlecraft is designed, you couldn't see out the windows while sitting down based on the exterior of the model. So there's a little part of me that wants to try to replicate that Kellogg Shuttlecraft look. So I'm using the old model obviously just because I already have it built, it's easier to visualize. There's a part of me that wants to actually see if I can come down, cut out, take this whole section out, and then carry it over the top and bring it back, almost like a sun or a moon roof on a car. Now again, I don't know if my skills are going to let me do that, but it's something I want to give a try to at least experiment with. I purchased this model for myself, so I'm going to have some fun with this. I'm not going to stick to canon. It's going to be in my little side universe. It's going to be Shuttlecraft number 3 for the UES constellation. Now, I will still use a lot of the kit decals, but the name and number decals are going to be separate decals that I'm going to be purchasing from an aftermarket source. And it's going to be the third. My first shuttlecraft model that I built as an adult, I named after my firstborn. I had some custom art done for my second-born child, so it's Shuttlecraft 2, and it's named after him. And so my third child is the beneficiary of waiting several years to build another shuttlecraft model. Her name gets to be on the one that hopefully will be fully LED. I'm planning to use a 9-volt battery for that lighting source or some other battery source inside the model. Because I eventually would like to be able to build a diorama, and there's really not a clean way to run wires underneath. The biggest thing I might have to figure out then is where to hide, but still be able to have access to the battery compartment. Not sure exactly how I'm going to do that quite yet. So I'm going to have to think through some of those. This is not going to be a fast build, so please don't expect to see an update video next week. But I wanted to give you an overview of this kit. You know, I'm not the hugest fan of the shuttlecraft from TOS. My favorite shuttlecraft is the one from Star Trek V. But the one from Star Trek V definitely follows the vibe of this shuttle. And I think one of the reasons I've never really been a fan of the TOS shuttle is because this model never really did it justice. I built it twice. I'm just not excited about it. This new kit that we've got is spot on. It may be one of the most accurate kits for a vessel designed before the CGI era. There aren't CGI files from 1966 to upload. So I'm really impressed with this. A lot of hard work went into bringing this to market. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it comes together. So again, please like and subscribe. No high speed on this. I'll be back with you. This may take several months to build. And I'm going to be learning some skills for scratch building as I do this. So looking forward to joining you on the journey. In the meantime, keep it tuned in here at Treksphere and keep on modeling.